Hello, everyone. Welcome to Untangled, episode 80. Episode 80. What? So good to be here with you guys. I cannot stand this glare. I don't know why the glare is so bad today, but it is. Wish there was something I could do about it. There probably is. There probably is something I can do about this glare. Anyway, welcome to Untangled. We are going to be talking about life today. I'm going to share a little bit about what I experienced the last couple of days before we get going. Thanks for being here. The Instagram and Facebook are back online. So Instagram and Facebook, they were down this morning. And I actually was excited because I was like, as long as there's one way for me to connect to you guys, I was like, this could be really good for humanity. Shut out of these freaking apps for a while and just, go back to more of an authentic lifestyle. I wonder how much less stress we would be under. Well, if you work on Instagram and Facebook, if you use social media for in terms of how you make a living, it can be very stressful. And so there's a part of me that was like, let's see what happens. How much stress will go away. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Anywho, it's good to be here with you guys again. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. I've been doing I've been coming on to YouTube Live a little bit more often the last couple of days, and I'm going to continue to do that. So make sure you hit the notifications button if you are subscribed so that you can get notified when I do go live. Okay. My eyeballs, they're blurry today. Hi, Coeur d'Alene. Two things before we get going and I start sharing about life, the evolution in human consciousness, navigating what we're going through. Is one, I am doing my first in-person event of this year. It's a 3-day workshop in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. It is going to be a lot of fun. It's a really powerful place in the United States. These mountains are really, really powerful. And it's April 19th to the 21st. I'm starting to sort of plan it out in terms of what we're going to be doing, more of the outline. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to connect with higher dimensional beings. I know that much. We're going to go into some really deep, powerful meditations. You'll connect with your soul family. There will be a deeper activation of the remembrance of who you are as soul, embodiment of soul. There's going to be dancing and laughter and crying and breaking down and breaking through. I'll have what I like to call a hot seat. So I'll be pulling people up on stage and letting them ask questions, personal questions. I always love doing that. And so if you want to join, the link and the description, the link is in the description below. It's April 19th to the 21st, Boone, North Carolina. And it's the first live in-person event I'll be doing this year. Really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please join us. Please join us. Please join us. Follow your intuition if there's a hit to go. Don't navigate this journey all by yourself. Join people. Join us. Connect with us. And what was the second thing? The second thing that I was going to share with all of you. Geez, I forgot. Oh, I have a online Patreon community. A lot of you guys already know that. But it's a great way to connect with me and to go deeper into um, my teachings. And we do guided meditations. I do a channeled message there. I do a Q&A. I do a group coaching call. I do an energy update, and I offer a free 30-minute session and a free 60-minute session. And it's also a great way to connect to community. So I do 5 live events a month, and yeah, you can jump deeper into my energies and the energies of like-minded souls all around the world that are part of the community. So really, it's super affordable, $23. It's like, a pizza, and it's a way to feel not so disconnected or alone in the world as you're navigating the most miraculous evolutionary shift in human consciousness. It's awesome. All right. So let's get going. I feel like it's been forever since I did my last Untangled, which I guess was 2 weeks ago. Last week I was traveling back from Mexico, and then I got a bug in Mexico. And that bug is still in my stomach, but it's not making me actually sick. But when I got back from Mexico last Tuesday night, I was sick for about 5 days. And what I want to share today in Untangled. So if you don't know my Untangled series, I basically just talk about my own personal experiences, my own journey through this evolutionary shift in consciousness, in the hopes that it helps you navigate yours as well. It's interesting. Sometimes I don't think humanity quite understands what they're going through right now. Partly because there's so much distraction and it's really, really intense. And another part is just that we don't remember. But I keep having this like vision in the future of like, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, people going back and saying, you know, oh, there was this Untangled series that went on during that really intense physical shift. And this woman was teaching humans how to get through the everyday minutia of life. Um, it's except that the majority of humans right now are not quite clicked in on the importance of literally um, peeling back the minutia, the everyday nitty gritty specifics of how to do this. And it's really, really important. It's important to wrap your heart and head and body and soul around what you're in and what you're experiencing over and over and over and over and over again. All right, so let me share a little bit about what Lori's experience was the last couple of days. And if you listen to me, you know that I enjoy going into the darkness. I enjoy going into the cave of the shadow, the ego deaths. I don't enjoy it while I'm in it, but I absolutely honor it and am humbled by it. And I understand that if it weren't for those dark nights, if it wasn't for the intense, shadowy caves that I find myself in, I would not be continuing to evolve out of what we call this matrix, right? I had this vision this morning. I wanted to kind of draw a human standing in a third dimensional field, which is what we're in. And the layers upon layers of programming that are caused by our family structure, that are caused by our educational system, that are caused by other systems, that how like the systems are how the world works, right? Um, the authoritative systems, the governmental systems, the medical systems, family systems, they all create aspects of trauma that we have. And they all create stories that we hold that like pile on top of us. Imagine it like blankets. Okay. So you come onto the planet and you're fresh and clean and light, completely aligned as soul. And then, literally, almost the moment that you take your first breath, or your eyes open for the first time, or you start to feel into this energetic world, um, layers start to come on top of the awareness of who you are. And by no fault of your own, you begin to believe what the world tells you. And the world that we were born into is a very dense, physical, third dimensional, polarized, dualistic world with a huge amount of mind control and trauma and programming and etc. And so, how I have been seeing the evolution in the last couple of years, and how I see our evolution in the next couple of years is, and I am getting to my own personal story, um, is the peeling back of these layers of comforters or blankets that have been put on top of us. And you can call these moments where we are peeling back layers um, dark night of the soul. You can call it ego death. You can call it healing. You can call it trauma work. Really doesn't matter the label that you use. It's simply and quite profoundly the awareness of your soul shaking the you that you think you are, the egoic structure, shaking you into seeing these layers, okay, that you have believed yourself to be. In order to take that layer, that blanket off, each layer comes off as you become aware of that layer. Right. And so the more that you become aware of what you are under, the blankets that you are under, the more you'll be able to take each blanket off. And as you take each blanket off, you start to become more and more free. Right. And so the awareness of the blankets is what I experience as these really intense, transformative, alchemical journeys deep into the depths of my beingness, where I literally feel like I'm going to die. I have had these moments, a handful of them the last year. And it really does feel like, oh my God, maybe I'm going to die. Like, am I going to survive this? Am I coming out of this? Am I going to have to go into some mental institution? Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? Something has taken over. Something is grabbing me. There's these really intense thought forms coming in. Um, and I'm sharing this because this is my experience, and my experience is worthy of being spoken to. Your experience is worthy of being spoken to, and the way that we navigate this evolution in consciousness, which is what every single human is going through. So we can say that it's like, oh no, you just have, PTSD, or oh no, you have an anxiety disorder, or no, you are bipolar. It really, to me, it doesn't matter the labels or the ways in which we try to fit the experience into stories. It's all an evolution in consciousness, which is the peeling back of blankets that have been piled on top of you based on the matrix, the third dimensional world that we live in. It's designed this way, blanket upon blanket upon blanket. And the awakening process is literally awakening, being aware of the blankets and starting to peel them back. And sometimes it may feel like you are going crazy and losing your mind because perhaps one of those blankets that's being pulled off is a deep, deep program of who somebody or someone or something wanted you to be. So you've been trying your whole life to appease this blanket that's been laying on you. And as you awaken into your soul, you're like, holy shit, this isn't me. Wait a second. If this blanket, i.e., I have to be a certain way in order to succeed, or I have to look a certain way in order to be loved, or I have to please people in order to be appreciated or loved, or whatever that is, right? You can call it coping mechanisms, you can call it codependent, you can call it whatever you want. I see everything as an evolution, so I see it as layers of who we thought we were literally being peeled back. But if that blanket that you're literally starting to peel off of you is a very intense, intense, intense belief program that you have held tight unconsciously to your body, to your beingness, you have lived life with this belief, this blanket on you. It's going to be very uncomfortable, rattling, frightening, perhaps, to see it, honor it, feel it, allow it, right? And simply begin to start to pull it back, which means that you have to recognize the role that it's been playing. And then you have to courageously begin to almost fight to get that blanket off. It's an energetic kind of, almost like you're pushing through something, even though you are allowing it to be there. Now, when we play in sort of like a victim mentality, woe is me, why is this here? I don't want to be in this. It's like you're allowing that blanket to just be this heavy weighted, wet blanket on you. So you're aware of it, but there's just this complaining about it, like as if you don't have a choice, as if it's doing something to you. The power of awareness is that it's giving you an opportunity to literally sort of fight against, pull back that blanket. And sometimes when your soul is ready, like really ready for you, and you're ready for you to level up, you will be pummeled into these darker moments where you are enveloped by this blanket in such a way that you can't see out, for the sole purpose of you being able to truly recognize the depth and density and heaviness of that blanket. And if you are rattled into that place, if you are gifted with these dark, dark nights, these moments where you aren't sure you're going to come out of it, you are being gifted a moment where you will propel out of that dark heaviness. There is a alchemical, transformative, energetic process happening where the blanket is starting to lift by you recognizing the intensity of that blanket. So I'm using metaphors, but here's what happened with me. So I got sick, and then that sickness made me sit still and do nothing. And if you know what that's like, it stops your life, right? And so the next thing I know is I'm not doing anything. I can't work. I can't go to yoga. I can't cook foods. There's nothing I can do. I just sit. And I never go searching for darkness or the shadow or healing, or I'm never looking to like evolve. I'm never looking for like, oh, what do I need to see about myself next? I know that life's going to show me exactly what I need to see when I need to see it. Always. I'm not in charge. There's something bigger that's in charge, which is this evolution. And so when the moments hit me of like, oh shit, here it comes. Here comes a moment where I'm about to go. I can feel the momentum of about to go into this dark cave. Like, oh shit, here we go. And then the next thing you know, I just find myself in kind of darkness, which just feels like a separation from life. Like I'm not in life. It feels like I am separate from the me that typically knows how to do life. And in this moment in particular, for 2.5, almost 3 straight days, um, it was an identity crisis on a level that I'd never experienced before. So it was me trying to figure out who I was and coming back to my truest expression. So if you are anything like me, you have had people in your life that have been, when we have people in our lives that are close to us, they can, what's it called? Influence, right? Um, they can veer you in a certain direction, not because they're trying to. It's just what happens, right? We have people in our lives, and the next thing you know, we're starting to do things the way they do things, or we're starting to feel the way they feel the world. And you can sort of find yourself kind of morphing a little bit into more of their world instead of yours. That has happened to me. And along the way, in the last couple of years, there's been this wait a second, like who am I? And I could look back and say most of my life there has always been this who am I? Not how does the world want me to be? Not how do my parents want me to be? How does my lover or partner want me to be? How do my friends want me to be? But who am I? And it's not something you can think. This is a energy. It's a feeling state. Um, it's alignment. Alignment to me is the greatest feeling on the planet. Alignment is when the egoic structure and the soul are in alignment. So they are happy playing together. They're side by side, walking along this human journey. They're not fighting each other. And when the egoic structure is fighting the soul, it's because the egoic structure is still trying to fit into this world that we live in based on all of the blankets, the ways in which we have been told to be. And so the ego is believing the external world, all the people and places and events and experiences and systems that tell us how to be, how to feel, what to do. And the soul just wants to be free. It wants to be in joy. You know, the lack on this planet right now will keep you out of that aligned state. Fear will keep you out of that aligned state. Fear is the number one energy, consciousness that you can feel that will keep your ego fighting against trusting the aligned state of soul in joy. Like who do you want to be? What do you want to say? Like, how do you really want to be in this world? And when you start asking those questions, you may have real heavy, dark moments, dark, dark nights, because the illusion, these blankets are coming off of you and the ego is starting to relax into soul so that they can walk side by side. And so for me, it was this really profound, powerful, very much of like an energetic battle. I was battling the mind, and the mind was feeling out of control. You could say the mind was also the ego, is feeling out of control. It didn't know where to stand. It didn't know where to put its feet. It didn't know. It was wobbly. It was confused. It was just a really uncomfortable feeling. I can't put it to words. It just was very, very uncomfortable. Um, and there was a part of the ego that needed to figure it out. I needed to figure out what this is, what's going on, who am I, how do I want to show up in the world? And I laid in my bed, lights out, candles lit, shades shut for 2 straight days, and don't think I've ever done that. And I wasn't laying in my bed because I was sick physically. I was laying in my bed because there was a dark, dark, transformative, profound, powerful alchemization happening. And I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss it. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so I understand how to do it. And I say that because some people will get confused with being in it, but how do I say this? Letting the alchemization take them further down. Like, it's almost like I feel like I'm a professional at this now, right? So I know how to navigate it where it doesn't take me. So although I'm in it and I'm allowing it to take me and do its work, I also know that it's not in charge, even though I have to surrender to it. And if you aren't adept at doing these kind of alchemization processes, you can find yourself feeling really stuck in it for days and days and days. And one of the reasons I'm sharing this is because we're not meant to be in it for days and days and days and days. We're meant to go all the way in when it arises, and then to let that process play out. So God, I wish I could explain this better. But you let the energetic process play out, but you're conscious and aware of the energetic process. And then you find yourself moving out of the energetic process. So you don't want to believe that you are what you're in. Okay? You have to energetically hold the absolute knowingness that you're in an alchemization process. You have to wrap your head around that. You have to pull thoughts in that believe that. You have to pull thoughts in that believe that. It has to be an absolute knowingness, because anything other than that, you may find yourself in the process of transformation longer than it's intended, because the ego freaks out, thinks it needs to figure out how to get out of it. And in that process of trying to figure out how to get out of it, it feels like it's drowning. And so then it tries to navigate the world and go do what it needs to do, but it hasn't completely given over to that dark moment, because there's a fear that if you give over to that dark moment, you'll get lost in it and it will take you. The problem with that is that you are just you're you're hovering right over the alchemical or transformative moment because of the deep fear that it's going to take you. And so for most humans, when that darkness comes in, it's like they've dropped into it, but they haven't dropped fully 100%. I mean, it really will feel like you're dying. And so when you drop into that moment, that's the moment where the actual transformation or alchemical process happens. It's that letting go and giving up almost in such a way that it takes you. But when it's a full, complete letting go, it takes you, off you go, it will pop you back out pretty quickly. It's designed to. If you are hovering right over that darkness, so you're feeling it, you know that it's there, you can hear the thoughts, you can hear the heaviness in the body, but you don't fully give into it. You don't hand yourself over to it completely, right? Then it has the potential to magnetically kind of keep pulling you throughout your days, and it's even worse because now you don't know how to get rid of it. All right. It's around all the time, and you're trying to figure out how to get rid of it. You don't know what to do. Like, why is this not going away? Why is this not going away? Why is this not going away? And so, anytime that I feel this dark night about to approach, um, and the best way for me to describe this is that it feels out of control, frightening, I'm questioning myself. I feel like I don't exist. I'm floating in some strange world. It's just next level. I have to go all the way in. So I go in. And when you go all the way in, you don't know when you're going to come out. But if you fully commit to that, you will pop out much faster. And it's a real fine line that I'm describing right now, and this is one of the most difficult moments on the planet to try to teach. It's extremely difficult to try to actually teach the physical experience of alchemization and processing frequencies. Why? Because it's not words or logic, it is energy. And so it gets lost in translation. Well, what do you mean when you say this? And what do you mean when you say this? And what do you mean when you say this? And does that mean that I do this and I do this? And so it just gets to be really shuffled around. But because I have been this kind of alchemical scientist for quite some time, um, I feel like I'm a professional. And so I'm ready to go in, and then I pop out when it's done. And I honor the fact that a lot of humans are learning how to become the professional scientist, alchemically processing what's happening in their physical forms. Um, and it's always different. It's always going to be experienced differently, right? Um, but the overarching experience of layers upon layers coming off of you is what's happening. Identification is coming off of you so that you can feel free on this planet and so that you can be in the highest aligned state with soul and ego together walking side by side. And this sense of freedom is it's you're truly breaking free from the this matrixy world, but you're still standing in it. And so the more, thank you, Astrid, for that super chat. The more that you start to kind of break free from it, the more you'll feel unique, the more you'll feel different, the more you'll feel like what's happening in the external world doesn't matter anymore in terms of how it's going to impact your own internal state. You'll start to trust yourself more than you ever have. You'll start to feel the energetic experiences between you and the rest of the world more and more. Right? This deeper experience of energy. There is never a letting go of ego. The ego structure is always there. Just like you're never gonna let go, you're never gonna get rid of your organs in the body. The egoic structure is a mechanism that walks you through this life and keeps you somewhat kind of safe in terms of how the physical world works. So it's a necessary part of the human experience, and it's just part of the human experience. But what we're learning in this journey, in this process of evolution, where you're peeling back the blankets, is that the egoic structure doesn't need to be the one that is leading the charge anymore. Because when the egoic structure leads the charge, it's leading based on a past. The ego only knows how to function from a past or a future. That's where it's comfortable. So the ego structure will say, well, based on what's happened in the past, this is what's going to happen now. Not true. The ego says, well, based on what happened in the past, that's what's going to happen in the future. Or, I'm not exactly sure how to be present and trust in what is, but if I can think about what may be coming, I will feel safe. Right? And the soul is the opposite. The soul doesn't care about the past. It just is what it is. It's humbly honoring it. It's in absolute awe of the past. The soul could care less about a future because it knows that there is no such thing as a future, because there is a quantum field. So there is an infinite amount of possibilities that can arise in the next moment. So it doesn't even try to conceptualize because it is so humbled by the quantum field. And so the soul just shows up in what is right here, right now, over and over and over again. And this is what is so profoundly mind-blowing about this evolutionary shift, is that the egoic structure and the soul are starting to come together and hold hands, which means that the ego has to let go of control, trying to keep yourself safe, trying to figure everything out, right? And the soul has to begin to get brighter or more intense. So the soul has to start to come online. And this coming online of the soul requires all the blankets, which is all the patterns of this third dimensional world, to come off it. And the egoic structure is the part of you that starts to take these blankets off, and it starts to surrender into what is. It starts to say, oh, hello, soul. How are we going to do this together? Then you're going to recognize there's a blanket on you called lack. And lack is going to make you feel afraid of the world, that you're never going to be able to survive, that you're always going to have to fight for what you need. There's never going to be enough. Your family was like that. Their families was like that. And the way that we start to navigate this from a little bit of a higher perspective or a different lens is this: you start to recognize what's happening. Oh, wait, the ego is starting to merge with the soul. The blankets are starting to be shown to me, the ways in which I have lived in this world and the patterns and programs that I have been taught have to come off. So I have to see them, I have to drop deep into them, they have to destroy me so that I can burn through them. And you start to live in new ways through awareness, seeing, and choice. And there is a deep humility that starts to arise the more that you start to become aware of this over and over and over again. It's not so much, it is, you could use the word that we're working on it, but I like to look at it. Who said that? Marcella. I like to look at it as a movement, right? So there's nothing that you can do right or wrong in terms of this movement or this process of transformation. This you want to call it like ascension, you want to call it evolution, you want to call it awakening, whatever you want to call it. It's a constant shift or movement. It's like you're watching an ice cube, and no matter what, that ice cube that's sitting out now on the countertop will melt. It's absolutely happening. So it really doesn't matter much what you're doing, because eventually the ice cube's going to melt completely. But the more that it can be a very uncomfortable, crunchy, painful process if you're trying to control the ice cube melting. You're not in control of the process. The ice cube's just going to melt. That's physics. Right? So your body is shifting frequency. And the more that you become aware of it, the more uncomfortable it can get, perhaps, and the more beautiful it can get. The more you start to feel you more than you ever have, which is soul, and the more you start to recognize, holy shit, look at all of the ways, all the blankets that have been on me. And the unfortunate or fortunate part of this planetary experience is that we live in duality, and duality holds and carries judgments. So if there was no duality, there'd be no judgment. Judgment stems from duality, which is experiencing opposites. And the reason there's judgment in duality is because when there are opposites, there is a choice. I like this over that. Right? So I'd prefer to feel good over feeling bad, which just means that one emotion feels different than another emotion, and the one that feels better, I'm going to want that one over this one, right? Um, the problem is that it's all just simply energy. And the other problem is that the density and dimensional field we are in is very, very low and heavy. And so we have to actually allow it to be okay to feel everything that we're feeling, knowing that it's not us. And so that's very difficult and challenging in duality and in a world where we are in judgment. And so if you find yourself in something that I experienced this past weekend, where it was like 48, 72 hours of just darkness, literally in a cave in my room, saying, I don't know what this is, but let's go. You may judge yourself. It's natural, it's normal, it's part of this dualistic world. The key is to recognize that you're judging yourself. Simply having an awareness around your judgments, the judgments that you have, free you from the judgments. Awareness is key to all of this, aware of what you're in, being aware of what you're feeling, being aware of what you're thinking. You know, and we're all on different levels. Like I'm on the level that I'm on. I don't know where I'm at on the level of this evolution compared to anyone else, but this is my moment right now, and then my moment right now, and then my moment right now. And um, the more that we can talk about what we're going through energetically, the easier it will be to go through it. And millions upon millions of humans won't want to do this. And again, it's okay, but the more that humanity awakens, um, the more humanity will have to peel off the blankets. And because there's massive amounts of judgment on this planet, most humans aren't going to talk about the moments where they're peeling off the blankets. Because most humans aren't talking about the moments that they're peeling off the blankets, which is are the moments in your life where you are literally humbly in deep wow and awe for the ways in which you have lived, things that you have allowed in your life, the behaviors that you have done, the patterns you have done, the really intense limiting beliefs that you hold that are not true, the emotional states that God forbid you should feel. You know, don't feel rage, don't feel anger, don't feel depression, don't feel this. You're not a good person, you're not evolved, you're not in 5D, you're not this, you're not in heaven. You're focusing on, if you focus on that, then that's what you're perpetuating and creating in life. Don't focus on those things. There is a massive difference, my friends, between perpetuating a thought and an emotion that's moving through you and simply being aware of it and allowing it to move through you. When you are aware that a thought has got you and it is haunting you, you're not perpetuating it, my friend. You're courageously seeing it. If you have an emotion moving through you like anger or rage or sadness or grief or depression or anxiety, stress, it's an energy that's moving through you. By being aware of it, feeling it, and letting it move through you, you are not focusing on it and perpetuating it. That is like saying that you are standing in a room and there are 3 different couches in that room. One's purple, one's red, one's blue. And the purple one is a really bad couch. No one wants a purple couch in their room. So whatever you do, don't look at the purple couch, because if you look at the purple couch, then the purple couch is in your room. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't look at the purple couch. The purple couch is sitting here. It's in the room. Yeah, but if you focus on that purple couch, you are creating that in your reality. If you simply just allow the purple couch to be there, knowing that you're not the purple couch is just part of the room. It has no control over you. It's just there. We live in a quantum field. Everything is available. Everything is here. Now, if you go and sit on the purple couch and dwell on the intensity of the purple couch, and that's all you're looking at, and that's all you're thinking about, and that's all you're feeling, and you don't see anything else in the room, you don't see the beautiful yellow couch, you don't see the beautiful pink flowers, then yeah, stop focusing on that purple freaking couch and look around. But just because you see a purple couch does not mean you're perpetuating that purple couch. That teaching has been hijacked in a massive way, because what that teaching does is it makes you it makes your ego be in a resistant controlled state. So if a thought comes up, okay, and it's an intense limiting belief, it's a limiting thought, you want to see it. You got to hear it. You got to look at it. You got to recognize it. But then you have to simply see it as a thought that has been controlling you for a very long time. You have to begin to try to choose different thoughts, right? But you don't want to ignore that thought and try to push it aside. You befriend it. You have an emotion come up like depression, anger, whatever, irritability, whatever's moving through your body, it's just an energy. We'll call it an emotion. It's just an energy. And if you are judging that emotion and blaming yourself for it or being ashamed of it or thinking that it's bad, then you're going to push it. You're going to push it aside. Don't focus on that emotion. That's a negative emotion or a low vibrational emotion. Well, my friends, you don't have any control over what's moving through your body. I hate to tell you. You have no control over the quantum field. You have control over the lens you're using to see yourself in the quantum field. So you have choice in how you're going to view what you're in and what you're moving through. So if you are feeling anger, you become humble to the anger. You're not the anger. You let that anger move through you in whatever way that it's going to. And eventually, anger will start to move through you in different ways. You won't be so reactive and respond like knee-jerk reaction to it. And then you become less judgmental around it. And the less judgmental you are around any emotion, the faster that emotion moves through you because you don't give a shit. It's just emotion. It's just energy and motion moving through. You stop judging it as negative, positive, good, bad. I should be feeling these. If I'm feeling this, that means I'm not doing this or that, or I'm in a low vibration or something's wrong with me. The soul knows, you know, as soul who you are, what you're doing here, that everything's allowed to be, that you're none of it. So you start practicing and learning how to be in that. But if you focus on it as if it's you and there's something wrong with you and you need to control and figure it out, then yeah, you're just going to perpetuate it. You're just going to keep perpetuating it. So the profound what the hell that we're doing here, the reason this is so profound to me is that you are standing in a dualistic, polarized physical reality, becoming soul. So you have to recognize and feel everything, but then you have to come into alignment with joy, your highest expression. Yeah. You know, you have to be humbled by thoughts and realize, are there other thoughts in this quantum space that I can try to hold? Maybe. Or maybe I just let these really controlling, powerful, parasitic thought forms come into my field. And then I go into battle with them saying, you are not me, you are not me, you are not me. And you hold firm in who you are as soul. Just depends on how the experience is being had. So parasitic thought forms can feel very different than just regular, repetitive, cyclical thought forms. Either way, you are becoming more and more aware that you are not thought. Five minutes left. Holy cow, that was fast. Any quick questions before I go? Regret. Oof, that's a big one. Uh, regret is like it's like an energetic cord tying you to the past. With regret, we call it regret. It's just, uh, it's like there's a cord of energy tying you to an event, an experience, as if that experience went wrong, should have been a different way. And one of the things that I practice, as difficult as this can be sometimes, is that there are absolutely no mistakes. So everything that happened happened. Thank you, Martin, for the super chat. Everything that happened happened, and you can't erase it. You can't go back and change it. And every single person on the planet, whether we agree with them, understand them, think they're evil, think they're beautiful, they're doing the best they can from what they have in their system. So whatever happened in the past, you did the best that you could with what you had at that moment. Your friends did the best they could, your partners did the best they could, your parents did the best that they could in that moment. It couldn't have unraveled any other way than how it unraveled. And it's a choice for you to see it that way. You can choose to see it as, well, no, I should have chosen something different. And that's literally only going to keep you in suffering because it didn't happen that way. The soul will see everything in the past as this magical, beautiful gift. That's how the soul sees the past. It's like it's reading a book and it's like, oh my God, then what happened? Wow, then what happened? Then what happened? Just keep saying, wow, what else? Holy cow, you did that? Then you chose this and then that happened? Wow. The soul sees everything through the lens of neutrality. A panic attack, is it already perpetuating an energy? A panic attack, thank you, Yvette, for that super chat. I really appreciate it. A panic attack is when anxiety, uh, it's almost like anxiety unconsciously is speeding up in the body, and the you as awareness or even as the human ego isn't aware of how fast that anxiety is speeding up. There's not a conscious awareness of the anxiety speeding up, and then the next thing that happens is there's the physical expression of that anxiety. So it turns into a panic attack, which feels like your heart's going to stop, like you can't breathe. And so it's the experience of anxiety unconsciously, almost, where it gets out of control. You know, it comes out of nowhere is what it feels like. But it actually doesn't come out of nowhere. There isn't the anxiety does start to be experienced in the body. It's just that we're either conscious or unconscious of it. And panic attacks are always connected to thinking about the future. And usually, panic attacks are thinking about a doomsday experience, something horrible that's going to happen, something bad that's going to happen, something out of your control. and you really believe it consciously or unconsciously. The key to panic attacks and anxiety is to really start to courageously become conscious of the thoughts, because it is the thoughts that are creating the anxiety. And the power of being able to see your thoughts can free you from anxiety. An imbalance in the body can appear as physical, but it's always energetic. But yes, it can be a physical imbalance. It's always energy though. Everything's energy. What about chronic disease? What is the question about chronic disease? It's interesting, Amber, the word chronic, right? We use the word chronic disease. And it's real. It's very real. It's very much in our experience. It's just interesting to think of that word, chronic disease. It's even interesting to just think of the word disease. Um, you know, is it stuck energy and how to move it through? I don't know what chronic disease is for each individual. I think it's an individual by individual basis, right? For some of us, it's literally in the ancestral lines. So if our parents had heart disease, we incarnated into a line of DNA that has heart disease, right? So that's real. um, However, a huge majority of what we are experiencing right now as chronic disease is perpetuated by the intensity of emotional states, and the inability for us to be free or be who we are. So there's a real tight restrictiveness of being human. If you think about your body being restrictive or tight because you're trying to navigate a human experience, everything's tight. The systems inside are tight. Being on this planet can feel very unsafe. And so the physical form, uh, our awareness around the unsafety of this planet we can create a tightness in our body, right? That restricts the blood flow, that restricts the organs from doing what they're here to do. It can restrict energy from moving. So emotions get stuck. It can stop our breathing the way we're supposed to breathe, right? So for a lot of humans, regardless of whether you incarnated into some sort of ancestral lines that have disease, it can be perpetuated by the unconscious um, fear that we hold by being human. And then we live in a system that tells us that we have chronic disease and take this and take that, and you're going to have this for the rest of your life. And then that perpetuates more fear and more resistance and more tightness in the body. You know, I have always said that if you are on the planet experiencing chronic pain, chronic disease, like intense illness, etc., that you are some of the most courageous on the planet, because when you are at the quote unquote kind of mercy of the physical body, you will feel more out of control than in any other kind of experience on the planet. And so it's a deeper initiation into the trusting of the body, believing that anything can be healed because it can, because everything's energy. So I truly believe that when we can wrap our heads around we are all just energy, the body is just energy, and anything can be healed within the body as energy, then we will start healing these chronic illnesses and diseases. But you have to wrap your mind around it. Our thoughts have to change around it all, and that's really, really intense. I'm like deeply humbled by the the mm, the way in which we have to begin to see physical illness and disease, and how to walk ourselves through it. I mean, there's so many amazing devices and tools that are coming out now that are all energetic, and it's helping us heal those chronic illnesses because we can't quite get our minds and our thoughts to tap into the natural way that we are designed to be with our bodies. And our bodies our bodies are also processing intense energies and trauma and dark into like there's darkness the body's trying to process, and there's poisons everywhere you look, and every part of this experience right now the poisons are more and more intense. It's like next level. So compassion for yourself, recognizing thoughts that you have. Thank you, Annette, for that super chat. Um, yes, all animals choose to come to the earth. I was just thinking about this. I saw a dog today. Um, I was going to get my coffee. Thank you for Michelle for the super chat. I was going to get my coffee, and I saw this labradoodle, cute brown labradoodle in the back seat of this car. Hi, out of time. And his face was out, and the car was going, and he was just having his best life. And I was literally like, man, I wish I was in that life. Like just having he had no care in the world. He was hair was blowing, like just you've seen those dogs, right? Oh, you watch them and you just like, now that's life. Thank you, Amber, so much for that super chat. Um, I said to myself, I was like, do the spirits, like, what's the probability, right, of a spirit that's choosing to incarnate as a soul in a dog, that it's going to have a good life, right? Or another type of animal, right? Because this planet is so cruel to animals, so cruel. And so it's a crapshoot. Like, you know, how much of that soul's choice actually plays out once it's in the body of an animal, because of free will. I was thinking about that, and I don't have an answer, but every animal you see has a soul in it, and it did choose to come in, and it chose to come into that physical expression. However, the question that I have is, the stakes are much higher, in my opinion. You have less control if you come in as an animal. So the stakes are much higher that what what you wanted to experience might not be experienced. You know, it's an interesting thought. Anyway, that's it. That's all she wrote, you guys. Come back next Tuesday for episode 81 of Untangled. Join me on this Thursday. Sorry about that. Join me Thursday at 2 p.m. California time for my Divine Design series on YouTube, We're on episode 4. Thank you, Lars, so much for that super chat. We're on episode 4. We're going to be talking about reptilians, and their impact on the planet, and just a little bit more, go into a little bit more depth about that. It's always fun to talk about kind of the energies that we're battling. And also subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications button, and thumbs up on this video. I will be going live more, doing many more teachings in the coming weeks, because I never actually talked about what the dark night of the soul brought me through, but it brought me back into more of my joy, which is really, really teaching about these profound concepts more and more. And you're saying, well, Lori, you have been. Not in my most aligned state. So really coming back to what lights me up, and it feels very different to me. So yeah, grateful for Africa back in December, because Africa really catapulted me into my soul. And once you get catapulted into your soul more and more, my friend, you will continue to do not think that the more you embody soul, the less you may have these dark nights. I would say that the more you embody your soul, the higher the potential of these dark nights showing up, because the soul is going to burn out. It's going to burn through any illusion that you have of who you thought you were. So, absolute gift to be on this planet with you. Thank you for being here with me. Please pass this video along. Please share this video with anyone in your life that you think may resonate with it. The YouTube algorithm is really wonky for me, and so I'm hoping to get back on here more and more and fix that so that these videos can get out to more and more people. And I think that's all. Join me in North Carolina, April 19th to the 21st. Be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, and courageously keep peeling those blankets off of you. I love you so much. Mwah.